Okay, so now we're into station 4. So you'll see on the first page, there's 2 pages. You'll see on the first page it says insulators and conductors. So what are those? So Mrs. Flegel pointed out we have these items here, and we're going to test them. What is an insulator? Well, that's something that stops or resists the flow of electricity or electrons to go through a circuit. A conductor, like these wires, will allow the flow of electricity to go through them. So when we test the circuit and we hook it up, you can see the light bulb lights. So that means the circuit's good. We've got a good battery and the wires are all good. So there is a flow of electrons through here. Alright? So these are all conductors. Now here's an insulator. Is that when I open these wires apart, there's an air gap here. Okay, air is a insulator. Alright? For this situation, it's an insulator. We'll keep it simple. So we're going to go through the items and we're going to discern what is a conductor out of the list and what is an insulator. Okay, to go over it again, a conductor allows the flow of electricity and an insulator resists or restricts the flow of electricity. So let's get started. A nail. Okay, so is it a conductor or is it an insulator? So we put the nail on, the light illuminates. So in your list there, you got to list it. Is it a conductor or an insulator? Keys. The bulb lights. Again, you write down your list there. Is it an insulator or a conductor? Wood, dowel, bulb does not light. Even if we get this a little closer without touching the red wire, does not light. Again, is it an insulator or a conductor? Plastic fork, bulb does not light. Plastic thimble. Now I say plastic thimble because you can get a metal type thimble, alright, and they're different. Plastic thimble, bulb does not light. Alright, and then paper clip. Bulb lights. Okay, so now out of these six items, you should be able to tell me which ones are conductors and which ones are insulators. Now on the second page here, if you go to it, there's a prediction area for conductors and insulators, and then there's an observation. So what you're going to do as a class is you're going to figure out things in your classroom and you're going to test them in here and see if they're an insulator or a conductor. But first, when you grab that item, any item you want, someone's shoe or something, you're going to predict if it's an insulator or a conductor. Below that you'll see a Venn diagram. I have that up here on the board. Okay? You're going to put conductors in this side, what you figured out what a conductor is. And on this side you're going to put what an insulator is. Now you notice here that they overlap in here. The reason this is that there's some materials that they don't really insulate and they don't really conduct electricity, but they do slow the flow of electricity. They're called semiconductors. Okay, and we just happen to have one here. This cool little car. It's made of different metals and plastics. And on the bottom here, there's this what we call pot metal. It's a pretty cheap metal. Works great for the car, but let's see what happens. So we got to pay close attention to the bulb here. When we don't use the metal, we just connect it up. You see the bulb is really bright. Now when we hook it up to the metal, you see the bulb's not so bright. Actually almost goes out. Okay, I'm just connecting the wires. Very bright, not so bright. So this metal on the bottom of this car would actually fall under this category. It's not really a conductor, it's not really an insulator. It kind of is in between a semiconductor. Another one that might fall in here is at home. Maybe one of your parents have a light switch that you can move it up and down, or you got a dial and it makes the lights go brighter or go dimmer. that also is called a semiconductor or a variable resistor, and that would fall under here. I'm not going to get into too much of how that works. This is, we don't need to be in that depth about it. Okay, so let's get started doing the stations here and have fun.